But there is one other ma'soom that I noticed when I was a young child, that whenever his name was mentioned, my grandfather would not be able to control his tears. And it's Imam Musa ibn Jaffer. So one day I asked him that, what is so special about Musa ibn Ja'far that every time he's mentioned you cry? So he told me a story that I will never forget until the day they put me in my grave. He said to me that when I was a young child, my grandfather was born in Baghdad. His house was close to the haram of Imam al-Kazim. He says, when I was a child, I used to play in the courtyard of Imam al-Kazim. He says, when I was 8 years old, I became very sick. And when I became sick, everybody thought it was the flu, that it's going to pass after 1 or 2 days. He told me that I was not getting better. 1 day, 2 days, a week would go by, I was getting worse. And I became so sick that I wasn't even able to go to school. They took me from doctor to doctor. I'm talking in the 1930s. He says, they took me from doctor to doctor, and no one knew what was wrong with me. It became so bad that they told my mother that your son is finished. He's going to die. So he says, I was laying in my bed, I couldn't move, I had become paralyzed. Can you imagine a mother who has spent months taking her 8-year-old son from doctor to doctor, and everyone is telling her, we don't know what's wrong with him, he's going to die. Prepare for his death. So his mother, who is my great-grandmother, she went home, she put on her hijab, and she went barefoot to the shrine of Imam al-Kazim. You know when you're mudtar, when you have no one else. She went barefoot to the shrine of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far. And she went to his darih. And she said to him, Ya ibn Rasulullah, my son is going to die. I have no one to turn to. And I named him after you. My grandfather's name was Kazim. She says, I named him after you. I am asking you to help my son. So she came home. That night, she had a dream. My grandfather's telling me this story, and I've heard it from many family members. That night she had a dream. She was sitting in her home. She heard a knock on the door, in the dream. She went to the door and she opened the door. She saw a Sayyid wearing a black turban, and she said that I have never seen anyone more beautiful, with more nur. And this person said to her that Musa ibn Ja'far sent me to you. And he says to you, take him to St. Mary Hospital. He mentions the name of the hospital in the dream. There is a doctor there who can cure your son. So she woke up. Can you imagine seeing a dream like this? She woke up and she asked, is there a hospital in Baghdad? Because she took him everywhere. Is there a hospital in Baghdad by this name? No one heard of it. So she asked and asked and asked until they told her that, oh, there is a small private hospital in one of the suburbs of Baghdad with that name. So she carries my grandfather. She says, bring him. Everybody thought that she's crazy. What do you mean, a dream? What is this hospital? She says, no. Imam Musa ibn Ja'far told me to take him. My grandfather told me that they carried me. I was limp. I couldn't even walk. They carried me and they took me there. And that week, there was a visiting physician from Germany. They brought him. Right when he saw my grandfather, he said, I know what it is. He says he checked him and there was an accumulation of fluid in his spine. He removed the fluid from his spine and within a matter of days, he was healed. So when he was telling me the story, he says, I owe my life to Musa ibn Jaffer, and you would have never been born if it was not for Musa ibn Jaffer salawatullahi alayhi.